Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday to you. Today is Tuesday, October the 15th. We are here for another edition of Tuesday Talks with Tonia. And today, my special guest is Miss Marilyn Norris, who is a three-time breast cancer survivor. So, the topic today is Woman Warrior Battling and Surviving Breast Cancer. So, just a little bit about Miss Marilyn. She is the author, founder, and CEO of Girl Warriors Fight the Battle, LLC. She's an author, an entrepreneur. She's been advocating for breast cancer over 20 years. And I know Marilyn from being out and about in the community in a lot of capacities, know her from church and just different things around the community. So welcome, Miss Marilyn.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on today. Hope you're doing well today.
I am.
Good. So the way we start off, we're just real casual and laid back, but what I'd like you to do is start out by giving people a little bit of your story, like how long, I know it's been 20 years you've been an advocate, but when did you first detect the cancer? How did you detect it? And what was that journey like?
Okay. It was first detected the first time in 1998, and it was by a mammogram.
Mhm.
And I was young. I was 35, so at that age, a whole lot don't phase you.
Yeah.
So, but I had a great doctor, and I can remember her to this day when she told me I had cancer. She asked me, "Was there anybody I wanted to call?" And I didn't call my mother because my mother was battling bladder cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I called my cousin and talked to her, and I made my decisions to have a partial mastectomy at that day. But the doctor told me that day it's my will to live. Whatever happened to me is going to be based on how I handle what she just told me.
And to be in a doctor's office by yourself and to get that news by yourself, like even at 35, I probably would have been a wreck, just
Yes.
not knowing how to respond or how to react. Because I think probably for me, my first response would be like, "Why me, Lord?" I mean, that's always our response when something happens to us, not understanding that there's a greater plan. And even if it's us, He chose us for a reason. Is that kind of how you felt?
Well, no, I didn't say
You was
why
like,
me.
no.
I said why now because my
Oh,
kids was young.
yeah.
At the time, I love my kids.
Yeah.
They're the most important thing to me besides
Yeah.
my mother and grandmother and dad. But I love my kids. So since
Yeah.
they were so young, I was saying why now?
Yeah.
Because I wanted them to make sure they was adults and they could take care of themselves. And that's what I always wanted when I had my children. That when if I ever had to leave this earth, that they were old enough and adults to be able to fend for themselves.
Wow. So when you got that call and you made the decision to do the mastectomy, how long of a process was that?
Well, if you know anything about me, nothing takes a long time for me. So that was the longest process because at that time it had been 4 years since I left the military and I was working here in the Dust at the Diversion Center. I really didn't like the job anyway, so I think I was out about 3 months before I went back, and that's because of the drainage tube. I was having a hard time with them, but I wasn't out for about 3 months. I had no chemo or radiation.
Oh, wow.
So at the time, they thought they got all the cancer.
Okay, and so then here comes another call.
Yes.
The second time.
In 2012.
Oh, wow.
But it was an intern at Eisenhower, and when they called me back in there, he said, I see you, but right now I don't have time for it. Because at the time I had been doing a 3-day, 60-mile breast cancer walk in Atlanta for 7 years, and that was my last walk, down Holyfield.
Yeah.
And I told him, look, I don't really have time for it right now. You have to train for that stuff, and all that training I did, I was going to do that walk, so I asked him, could it wait till I come back?
Wow.
And it did, I
Oh,
didn't.
wow. And I know he was probably baffled.
Well, he was a young guy, little intern.
What do you mean you don't have time for this?
So I told him, could everything wait till I finished my last walk? And
Oh, wow.
once I came back, I had the surgery. They took my breast. So that time I had no breast at all.
Okay.
They did expanders and the implants.
Oh, wow. So that's 98 and then 2012.
Yes.
And still no chemo, no any, really? Wow. God is amazing.
Yes.
So then the third time.
Oh, man, that's what took me down. I can remember exactly because some of my sorors are here. And, I was the president of the Desert chapter at the time. And my kids was older, so my daughter was there with me. And at the time, I had a male boss. And, they so sensitive, they don't want to believe they are. And he was so worried about me. I wasn't even worried about it because I really didn't know what it all forward down to. But once the doctor got me in and he said, "You really don't know what I have to do." No, I don't know. You can't take no breaths.
Right. Like what else?
So he said there's a mass about the size of a small watermelon that attached itself to your ribs. So I had to take out ribs number 4 through 7.
Oh wow.
So I'm thinking like, okay, and then I started thinking. He said, but there's some decisions you have to make. Once I take your ribs, I have to remove your chest wall. So you got to decide where I'm going to get the skin from to cover your chest wall. And the first thing I said, oh, tummy tuck. He couldn't use that skin, so he took the skin from the left side of my back to cover my chest wall. But once they remove your ribs and they remove your chest wall, you no longer have a chest wall, so they got to decide what's best for you, how they're going to make the chest wall. So he told me about all this different type of medical cement that they have to use to cover my heart and lungs back up. So that's what they use, and they like the hard plastic you find in things that you purchase. That's what they use to make my ribs, and they got some mesh, and that's what he called it, and covered that up, and they got the skin from my back to make skin on my left side.
And people who don't understand that, I was burned when I worked for Procter and Gamble, and the inside of my thigh, they were like, "Where do you want this skin?" I was like, "You can't take it from nowhere else. You better figure something else out because I don't want you cutting and peeling and all of that stuff." But they did cadaver skin and pig skin, and that whole process in itself is painful. It's very painful doing skin grafts and all of that stuff. So you, on top of the cancer, have to go through that extra pain of them taking and placing and all of that other stuff. So how long was that process?
My daughter, I didn't really realize what the surgery was because I can just see the doctor coming in and saying, "You want to see pictures?" I'm like,
no, who want to see that?
No, but he showed them to my daughter, and after that, I saw the pictures, and my daughter said I was in, and her story is in my book. I was in surgery 12 hours, and I had lost a lot of blood, but he said everything was going as good as can be expected. And it's different because I never look the same again because your back and your chest is different. So you got the skin just like remember those patch coats you wear. So that's how I look in the front, and I always would lean forward because I have that cement.
Okay,
it's
heavy.
There.
It's
so
heavy.
it's always going to be a little leaning.
Oh wow! But still, that third time, no chemo,
no. But that third time took me down.
Because of the extensive work that you had to do and the time. 12 hours in a surgery, that's a long time. Because your two mastectomies didn't take that long, did they?
That was like drive-throughs. So the final surgery, and I think it was just the surgery, and knowing that he had to be careful and get that mask because that's what he was worried about because it could have eventually broke my rib cage. But I think that one just took me down for me.
So from a mental standpoint, because we talked a few weeks ago about women and mental health, and we talked about how women we suppress a lot of stuff. We don't always share. We don't always let stuff out. We don't always get the necessary help that we need. So from a mental standpoint, because that would weigh on me heavy. Like, how did you push through that from a mental standpoint?
Well, anybody that know me now that my kids are adults know I love my grandkids. So that's what keep me going because I love my grandkids. And everybody that I can remember Cher saying on the radio the other day, they didn't know I was going to have the surgery the day before.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't want people, worrying. Because sometimes when people worry, you start feeling like, whoa.
It worries
maybe
you.
they know about what's going to happen to me than I do. And I just look forward to, being around for my grandkids. So.
And I would, Mom, mentally, we're stronger than most, but there are still those times when it's, you're sitting by yourself or you're in the hospital in the middle of the night and it's just you. Did you have a lot of conversations with God, or were there times that you just?
I did, and I had a lot of conversations telling him to get me out of here because if you know me, you know I'm not going to sit down long. Because I remember one of my sorrows saying I was sending emails from the emergency room, and I did because I had to get that final email out before they took me back. But I thank God for who I am today because, there are times like my mother died last year suddenly. and now I'm the caretaker of my grandmother. And I really believe that I keep busy so I won't sit down and think and get depressed. Because depression is easy.
It is.
You can just, it's too easy. And I don't want to be like that because I have so much to look forward to. So, I love my family and I have that to look forward to.
And that's kind of a driving force for most women, especially women with children. You're like, no matter what, I got to push through for my kids. Even if it's at the detriment of ourselves, we're like, we can't stop. We got to push through. We got to make sure we provide. We got to make sure we take care of. And we're caretakers and caregivers. And so, like you said, your grandmother and your mom and your children, and now you have grandchildren. And so those are the people that you fight for. And it is easy to get into depression, but it's a lot better if we don't let depression come to our door. And I'll say easier said than done, but sometimes I think we as women, we give in somewhat easy, when it comes to depression or whatever, instead of saying, hey, whatever this is, shake it off. I got to keep it moving because I got a purpose. God has a plan for me and I want to fulfill the plan he has on my life. Tell us about the book that you've written.
Well, the book is Women Warriors Fighting a Battle Off the Field, and it's the story of some women that was all the women was in the military or still in the military, and it's their story about fighting breast cancer. And there's one young lady, and her story always stick out because she went through all the time, all that weeks thinking she had cancer, and come to find out she didn't. And then as a soldier still in the military that had cancer, and there's a couple that retired, and then there's my story. So it's about the women. I didn't ever go to war, but being in the military is a battle within itself. So it's how you leave the military and you still have a battle out here to fight, or you're in the military and you fight both of those battles.
Right. So that's a poignant point about women in the military, because a lot of times women catch it more. It's more difficult for women in the military. I've seen it, grew up military, and knew I never wanted to be in the military. I just, it wasn't for me. But being a military brat and living Fort Sill and just seeing how women were treated different from men, no matter how hard you worked, no matter what you brought to the table, it was always like you were below the men. And so having cancer on top of that, I just can't imagine being in the military, being treated a certain way, and then having to deal with cancer, a disease that you can't control. You don't know what's going to happen, and you still have to go to work every day, so to speak. So the women that you talked about in your book, were they co-workers or were they?
They were friends. I met them through the military or through the sorority. But I really believe the military gave me my strength to be able to deal with what I've dealt with.
Yeah.
So, because I was a totally different person in high school. I did not open my mouth for nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was totally different in high school. So I think the military made me who I am. If I wouldn't have went in the military, I don't think I would have made it. Okay. Because I wouldn't have had the strength or the courage to go get her.
Because it makes you strong.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to become strong physically and mentally.
Yes, you do.
And being able to wear, I call them battle scars. You know, you go through stuff, but you get through it. You just may have a scar afterwards.
Yes.
So kind of like the cancer, you have scars afterwards, but you got through it.
Yes.
So talk about some of the advocacy work that you do.
Well, I started off as a CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocate, and I was a CASA for 11 years. And that's what really got me started because I met a lot of women that had cancer or was surviving. And I also delivered totes for the Lydia Project in Thompson.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of women then. And I've been doing this job that I have on Fort Gordon. I'm the casualty chief here on Fort Gordon, so I've seen a lot of people suffer from cancer, soldiers and their spouses, young kids, or soldiers themselves. So it just made me want people to know that, just because you're diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean that's the end. That's it, but it does, I guess if it runs in your family, you've seen people suffer or to die from cancer, in your mind you may say you're next.
Yeah.
But in my family, I did see my mother have cancer twice, bladder and cancer. So, but I don't know. I just feel like, I can be a voice. People can look at me. If I don't tell you what I went through, you won't know.
Sure won't know.
Because I don't talk about it.
And the way you look and the way you go, you always going. You talking about me. You always going somewhere, always doing something, always helping somebody. I see you everywhere doing everything. So I'm like, how in the world? She's done this 3 times and some people who haven't been through anything, you can't get them to lift a finger to do anything. So I think that's probably part of the blessing is that God knows that He can use you, that He can trust you, that you have fulfilled your purpose through that process. So now you got to go tell your story because the way I see it in my mind is like there is a God because most people who go through cancer have to go through chemo. They have to go through all these harsh treatments and then they still don't make it. So they put all this poison in their body, they go through all this strenuous stuff, and they still leave here. So for you to not have any of that, not any of it.
I refuse to take any pain medicine. I tell my doctor I just don't want to be, can't get up because I got to take a pain pill, can't sit down. Even though, I have to sleep certain ways to be comfortable to get a few hours, but I just can't see being addicted to something that's got to keep me moving along. I can't. I hear people say, "Oh, I need a Percocet because I can't walk," or "I need a pain pill because I can't." I just don't want that.
Yeah, that addiction. Yeah, and it is an addiction, and you get dependent upon a medicine, and then it becomes a mental thing because in your mind you think you have to have it, but 9 times out of 10 it's already worn off because your body has gotten used to it. So then it doesn't do its job, but in your mind it's like I still got to have this medicine. So it's like a double-edged sword. If you take the medicine, if you take the chemo, and you take all these things, and then your body gets used to it, then it doesn't work. Then you're back in the same boat, and it's kind of like, okay, it defeats the purpose. Well, tell us about the job that you do now. You said you're a casualty chief
here at Fort Gordon, and what it is, I every time you hear about a death, we cover 49 counties in our area, all the way up to Atlanta. Here, we used to have South Carolina, but once Fort McPherson closed, South Carolina went to Fort Jackson, and we got all there. So every time you hear about a death of a soldier or a soldier family member, that means we're working.
Oh, wow.
We work 365 days a week, weekends and holidays, so we never close. So we assist the soldier that's going out to make notification to the next of kin and to provide benefits to the next of kin.
Oh, wow. That's a heavy job. And I guess you're built for that, though. Part of your process that you've been through helps you to do your job every day. I can't imagine having to be the bearer of that news to a family member, even, seeing it on TV and you see the knock on the door and you already know what's happened, but to actually have to work through that every day, that would probably take a toll on me. I'm strong, but I'm only strong to to a point. And you also work with some other community members doing different things like Can't Be Your Best, part of the Share Sisters Only Club. Talk about some of those programs that you guys do with that.
Yeah, with Share Sisters Only Club, we do Can't Be Your Best, the Shero Awards. We just finished our scholarship ball. And now we're coming out with something different, that Leadership Academy for girls, the same age, 11 to 18. And that's going to be during our holiday break, 2 through 4 January. And they can go to our website or they can email sistersonlyclub@hotmail.com and sign up. We have about 55 slots left. We're taking 75 girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
We also do Promopalooza, where we give out the free gowns for the prom. We do Operation Happy Hearts, where we have the schools to make the Valentine cards, and we send them to soldiers that are deployed and to all the other providers here in the community.
And that's awesome work to do because when you think about especially soldiers being away from home, being away from family, being in desolate places and not having communication with their loved ones, to get something like that from a student, and the students get excited about doing stuff because they feel like they're giving, and you're teaching them early to give, to serve, and to help others. So that's always great. And you also have your sorority. So talk about that.
The military sorority, Kappa Epsilon Psi. I'm actually a national president now, so I don't get a chance to do a lot locally with the SARS here, but they're the best thing that ever happened. And it's great. It's a great organization because I'm a civilian now, but I'm prior military, and civilians are different than people that's been in the military. So we always say, hey, she ain't never been in the military, she don't understand. So it's always great to have that bond. You can call them and say, sis, hey, this. They say, I know what you're going through. Been there, done that, but you're going to make it. So it's a great organization. So it's for anyone, all females that's been any branch of service in the military.
Retired or current?
Retired, active duty, or just spent some time in the military.
And you guys are everywhere too. guys have done stuff for the mayor's master's reception.
Yes.
You've done stuff for churches.
Yes.
You guys pretty much go anywhere there's a need, and that's commendable because again, service.
Yes.
That's what you are leaning towards in every organization that you're part of.
Yes.
Advocacy, service, helping somebody else. So you are to be commended. Is there a way that people can purchase your books?
Yes, they can, but I would like to talk about. I have a mentor organization also.
yeah.
It's called Girl Warriors Fighting the Battle because a couple of girls in there I spoke at Lady Pearls, and they did not know what I went through until I talked about it then. So it's for girls 4th through 12th grade, and what we do is provide them with the resources they need to finish school, to go in the military, to go to college, and we also give a scholarship each year to a young lady who was touched by breast cancer in some way. So,
so the mentorship group is voluntary. They can just sign up. They don't have to.
Yes, we're actually getting ready to come out. We'll be taking application until 1 December. So they'll see the information everywhere. But no, they don't have to be. Long as they're in the CSRA, and they're 4th through 11th, 12th grade. 4th through 12th grade. So it doesn't matter which county. Doesn't matter if you're in Carolina. Anywhere. No.
And what's your capacity?
We're going to stop at 50.
Okay.
So, like this year we have 3 that's going to graduate high school.
Okay. So it'll open up some spots. Okay. And so mentorship you have, is this part of your sorority that helps out, or is it a combination?
A combination in the community, different people. Like I have the Pink Runway Fashion Show.
That's coming up. Yeah, also, so talk about that.
And that's sold out, and I'm happy about that.
I mean, it's good, but I'm like, oh no, because I was supposed to be doing something, then I wasn't doing something, so. Okay, well, I'm glad it's sold out.
Thank you. And what that is, we have breast cancer survivors, co-survivors, and grandkids. My grandkids going to be in it this year.
Aww.
Of those who fought the battle, and we also do a recognition of someone who lost the battle, and that's where we give out our scholarship. And this year, we'll be renaming the scholarship, so you have to be there to know what the
name is. I'm gonna have to find out after the match. That's okay, but I'm glad that it's sold out. So I know you have Ponsier is doing it with you. So.
She's the MC, and Dr. Brittany Bush, she's the speaker this year.
Okay. Yes. And it's what day and time, even though it's sold out?
It's Saturday, this Saturday, 19 October at 4 p.m. Doors open at 3:30.
And it's at the
dance studio off of Deansbridge Road, Artillery Dance Studio.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good plug for the studio. Yes. So I know Tonia Butler awesome. Over there. Yeah. So that's good. I know she's glad that you guys are coming over, and I'm sad that it's sold out because I thought I was gonna get to come, but evidently not. And what other things do you see coming in the future for women warriors?
Well, in the future, I see a teen conference, teen youth conference, and hopefully that'll be 2020.
Okay.
I partner with a couple of people that are looking into it, so hopefully that's next year.
So a teen girl conference? What is it based on?
The focus is teen girls because I see there's a lot of organization in Augusta for girls also, but I see the domination is teen boys, and I like to target middle to high school because I remember when my daughter was in middle school, I was working at Youth Challenge Academy, and she came home one day and said she loved boys. The next day I left Youth Challenge and I went to this job I'm at now. So I just see my focus is teen girls, just to empower them where they can take care of themselves.
Right.
There's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of you don't have this or you don't have that. And a lot of the girls in our organization, they've been raised by their grandmother. So there are a lot of things that they don't have.
Yeah.
So that's where we try to fill that void for them.
Okay. And that's good because there are, like you said, some organizations, but I think if you have a focus, if you know that, hey, this is what we're going to offer for this age group, that kind of helps because sometimes people can be so sporadic with their help. So it's kind of like trying to hit a bullseye, a moving target, and you're hitting and missing. But if you have a specific group, specific age group, specific focus, then that tends to be better for the outcome. Because even with the health disparities that we have in our community, especially as it relates to women and African American women, a lot of times people think they're helping, but they're really not. It's like we're kind of creating more problems. But with you guys, I feel like that's a target. You're focused. You know what we're going to focus on, who we're going to focus on, and that helps a lot. So there's other ways that people can reach you, and how is that?
They can email me at girlwarriors2018@gmail.com, or they can email me at mnorris5025@gmail.com.
And we'll also put that stuff on the Tuesday Talks
Yes.
page. We'll share with all of our audiences just so if people want to get in contact with you. And what we also do is send out an email. We have a Tuesday Talk email.
Okay.
So anybody that signs up on the email list, they'll get copies of that information. There's a couple of things. So you'll be somewhere else this Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Sunday, where will you be?
This Sunday I'll be at Abundant Life Worship Center. And it's a surprise, so I'm not saying anything that we're doing. Because I don't know all
I was
of
trying
it.
to get the scoop. I thought I knew
Yes.
what's happening, but evidently I don't. So that's Sunday is Pink Out Sunday
Yes,
at Abundant
Pink Out
Life
Sunday.
Worship Center, and that's located at 2070 Brown Road, Augusta. And service starts at 10 a.m.
Yes.
And anybody that comes is casual. We're asking you to wear casual pink, and it's going to be a surprise. There are 4 young ladies
Yes,
actually,
just 4
so
of
you
us.
and 3 other ladies.
Yes.
that-
And another one of the young ladies, she's also
in your book.
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm excited and intrigued all at the same time. So there's a lot of things going on in the city. There's the Miracle Mile Walk
Yes,
this Saturday, and that begins at 7:30. They have a pre-walk. The walk starts at 10 a.m. and it's at the Augusta Common and Reynolds and Broad Street, both sides, whichever one you want to go on. It's a 3-mile walk. So if you guys are interested, that is the Miracle Mile Walk that is sponsored by University Health Center, and they will be taking donations. You can get T-shirts. They have food. There's a celebration. I've done it for several years. I'm trying to make it to. It's just so much going on. I have a buddy walk, a friend of mine, for her daughter this Saturday, and then there's the women. It's so much going on in Augusta, but because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I did want to make sure that we have the conversation, because as women, we have to take our health serious.
Yes,
we have to be diligent with making sure that we go to our doctors, go to our checkups, and make sure that we take time out for us, because a lot of times oh, I'm sick, but I can hold on because the kids got to eat, the kids got to get to school, or I can't miss work, or we make up all these excuses, but at the end of the day, if we can't take care of us, we can't take care of anybody else. And so thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. This ends our live portion. We will do Q&A with the live cameras cut. But if you would like to join us again, make sure you visit the website, or make sure you visit the YouTube channel, Facebook Live. And we have things that we have coming up that we'd like to share. Again, Saturday, the Miracle Mile Walk, Sunday, the Pink Out at Abundant Life Worship Center, and more. Thank you, Marilyn Norris, and we look forward to the Q&A session.
Yes.